Well, as all of you have probably noticed by this time, and I know this just in, breaking news, I am not a woman. Huge relief, right? Yeah, it's like what Mick Foley once said about sex change operations that don't change anything. It's just mutilation. But he said, if it wasn't for the fact that I'd make one butt ugly chick, I'd be out shopping for estimates. He was making a joke, obviously. But Amanda Carpenter most definitely is a woman. And she has a post at the Washington Post. Post. She probably had Post Raisin Bran for breakfast, too. Post. And at the Washington Post, in her post at the Washington Post, Amanda Carpenter, Carpenters make posts, don't they? Wonders why the men of the Republican Party won't defend her. Reasonable question. Now, earlier this month, Eric Trump sent out a fundraising solicitation showing a map of his father overwhelmingly winning the election.
He did it. Oh my god, dude.
But there was only one catch. The winning map represented a pollster's projection of what would happen if only men voted. Doesn't say much for my gender, does it? It was a mistake, but fitting nonetheless. The way Trump has conducted his campaign, it's as if the Republican Party would like female voters to fall off the map completely. As a former communications aide to Senator Ted Cruz and former Senator Jim DeMint, Amanda Carpenter can personally testify that Republican women have for years fended off accusations from the Democrats of the party's allegedly anti-woman beliefs. This is right in with what so many of us have been saying since June of last year, that Donald Trump is going out of his way to embody every left-wing smear and stereotype of conservatives that has been ever vomited upon us. And what did Republican women get for their trouble, for their efforts? The nomination by way of a largely older male voting base of a brazen and unapologetic misogynist. Good job, Trumplicans. Ms. Carpenter wants to ask the man leading the GOP some questions. Why didn't they defend women from this raging sexist, especially after so many Republican women for so many years eagerly defended the party from charges of sexism? They must make Republican women out for fools. Remember that scene at the end of X-Men First Class when Agent McTaggart, Moira McTaggart, played by Rose Byrne, was explaining what she remembered after Professor X wiped her mind, and remember the CIA director just shook his head and said, "Gentlemen, this is why the CIA is no place for a woman." Which was, of course, a ludicrously sexist thing to say. It fit for the period, I suppose, but that's got to be what Republican women like Amanda Carpenter feel like. They've been defending the party from feminists for years. And then along comes Donald Trump, and the Republican Party, by nominating him, validates everything feminist, everything Hillary Clinton has ever said about the Republican Party. For all intents and purposes. That's the perception. And in politics, perception is 9/10 of reality. Over the course of the GOP primary, it became clear that too many Republicans felt it was too politically risky to do anything that would offend the types of voters Trump was allegedly attracting in droves. You know, the types who showed up at rallies wearing t-shirts that said, "Trump that bitch," referring to Hillary, I guess, and "She's a cunt, vote for Trump." I have t-shirts and have had t-shirts that have, say, funny things on them. I got one that shows Santa Claus sitting, pulling with his pants pulled down, sitting on a chimney, defecating. It's just clear indication. And a caption underneath it says, "What you really get," or how to know when you've really been bad. You don't get presents. You just get turds in your stocking. Yeah, well, it's funny because it doesn't say it. It just implies it. Nothing is being implied with t-shirts like this. And the same general basic sentiments can be expressed in far less garish language. I mean, how is that an argument against Hillary Clinton? Bitch! Cunt! How is that an argument against Hillary Clinton? I don't know. Name calling, right? It doesn't even matter that those appellations do kind of fit. That's not even the point. Remember who determines presidential elections. Low information voters, people who don't pay attention to politics, and this is a large reason of why, and you have to persuade them, you have to lead them by the nose, you have to educate them. What is this going to educate them about? Okay, so you're calling Hillary a bitch and a cunt. Okay, well, that's nice. Do you have any proof? They don't know. You're assuming they know. They don't. Besides, like I said, you have to make Hillary as visible as possible. That's the way to get voters to not vote for Hillary Clinton. You can't take the spotlight off of her. You got to put it on her. This kind of crap doesn't do that. Doesn't accomplish anything. Somehow, in some amorphous but unambiguous way, it was decided that appealing to those voters, the Trump that bitch, she's a cunt, vote for Trump voters, kind of people that would actually wear such a t-shirt, was more important than appealing to women, who make up the majority of the electorate. You've seen the reports, polling that at least purports to show that Hillary Clinton that there's a bigger gender gap than has ever been in this election. 33 percentage points. Women, according to what polls are starting to say, women are supporting Hillary by a 2-to-1 margin. And there are more women than there are men, which I always thought was a good thing in most contexts. Not every context, but most. Now, Trump's men, and they're not real men, have told women, and this is locker room talk, and we've heard plenty of reports from athletes, from soldiers, current and former, and sailors and airmen and Marines, and in other words, a lot of guys who have been in a lot of locker rooms and equivalent situations who have said, the hell it is. That's not what gets said in locker rooms. That's what the hell? You do what? Guys talk about what they'd like to do, or more to the point, what they wish women were doing to them and for them. They were that we should accept this is how men speak behind closed doors. Get over it and vote for Trump. Like hell. Like hell to all that. That's not how men speak. That's not how real men speak behind closed doors. Donald Trump's not a real man. Real men don't do things like that. Real men don't brag about it either. And real men don't vote for Trump. Perhaps Trump men should talk to some rape survivors. They need to hear what those women heard when Trump bragged about grabbing a woman's genitalia, aggressively kissing them without consent, and getting away with it because he's rich and famous. That wasn't boyish banter, ladies and gentlemen. That was a confession of assault. Even when Bill Clinton got caught in Monica Gate, he never came out and said on camera, near a microphone, or even within range of a hot mic, that he ever actually did any of the things he did. Remember what he said? I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Not a single time. He was lying out his ass, sure, but he didn't. I mean, he did it, Trump did it. Bill Clinton didn't brag about it. Oh, so I guess that Trump's better because he's honest about being a sexual predator? I thought the reason why we didn't like Bill Clinton was because he was a sexual predator. Not because he was a Democrat. And that it's okay to be a sexual predator if it's someone from your own tribe. Besides, Trump was in no locker room when he talked this way. He was mic'd up as a major media figure speaking to another major media figure in a professional work setting. You remember when Trump once said, well, I could never run for president because I've got more skeletons in my closet than the New York City cemetery, or worse to that effect. I guess his ego, his narcissism got to such a point that he thought he could win. Not only thought he could win despite that, thought he would win because of it. The culture has been sufficiently degraded that now I can run on that as my platform. Pussy Grabber 2016. It's the insanity of this. It's just... If the GOP has truly convinced itself that openly engaging in sexual assault fantasies is something normal that men do among one another, trust me, Miss Carpenter, it isn't. We like women. We like sex. Not that way. That's not sex. I mean, maybe it's just me. I really hope not. But I have always conceived of sex is when two people are together willingly. Because if you gotta force it out of them, I don't understand that. Maybe I'm having old-fashioned libido. I don't get turned on by that. I don't get turned on by the idea of forcing myself on someone I don't even know. I don't. That doesn't do anything for me. I want to be wanted. I want to be loved. There's a reason why they used to call it love making. Because the idea of love was kind of central to the concept. I mean, watch the Access Hollywood tape again. I mean, what, in anything that Trump says, where does love fit into that any place? Where would you even get a hint of, that's so sweet? Where? Amanda Carpenter has a suggestion. If the GOP is truly convinced that openly engaging in sexual assault fantasies is something that normal men do to one another, relocate the Republican National Committee headquarters into a men's-only locker room and eliminate all pretenses of wanting to let women in. The wages of Trump. You're driving. How long has the Republican Party, and obviously not competently, but how long has the Republican Party trying to be appealing to women, trying to get more minorities to cross the aisle from the Democrats who were screwing them blind, who were like, it's a second apartheid, the welfare state is. How long have Republicans been trying to attract women, attract minorities? and so forth. And this is why I say that if you support Trump, you've given up. You've run up the white flag. You've surrendered. Trump supporters are the real surrender caucus. It's like they've said, they're saying to the country like that's some kind of defiant martyrdom or something. Yes, we are! Everything the left has ever said about us, and we're proud of it! And now let's run right out and hang ourselves, because that's what's going to happen at the ballot box in 2 weeks. You see, real men don't think like Trump, or Bill Clinton, for that matter. We've heard over and over again how privately anguished GOP leaders were, although not anguished enough to take any concrete steps to stop it. Actions speak louder than words. You remember that axiom? I expect that Republicans will try to pretend post-election as if those recordings were some one-off, unpredictable revelation, like nobody had any idea that Donald Trump was a misogynist. No, that was a totally out of left field. Nobody knew it. Nobody could have seen it coming. Yeah, well. Bullshit! 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 Bullshit!
You're not still the reason they're playing.
Bullshit! Let's go bullshit! They'll try to claim that they didn't know that Trump was a sexual deviant. But Republican women won't accept that explanation. Trump's chauvinism was well documented in decades worth of publicity available, or publicly available smutty television, smutty radio, and smutty print interviews. Remember that Playboy magazine cover? Long before he became the GOP nominee. And yet, the Republican Party ignored it all. Then, as a GOP presidential candidate, Trump used his massive online platform to label Megyn Kelly a, quote, bimbo, close quote, and question Heidi Cruz's attractiveness. Even after Trump denigrated the party's own female Republicans, such as Carly Fiorina. Oh, who'd want that face on the TV screens for the next 4 years? Senator Kelly Ayotte, who embraced, at a recent debate with her Democrat opponent, New Hampshire Governor Maggie Hassan, said, yes, Donald Trump is a role model. And now her campaign has collapsed. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez, male GOP heavyweights used their clout to force Republicans to fall into line. That's why I refer to them as cuckservatives. Ricucklicans. Soon to be restored Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell sneered at real Republicans, such as House Speaker Paul Ryan until he cucked as well, who were reluctant to lend their support. It's disrespectful of the Republicans electorate to say, I'm smarter. I say, I'm smarter than you are, and I'm not going to support your choice, McConnell said in May. Well, you know what? The Republican electorate doesn't deserve any respect. The respect has to be earned. The people are not any smarter, any wiser than the elites. There's a reason why the founding fathers gave us a constitutional republic, not a democracy. because they didn't trust the people any more than the elites. They didn't trust any of them. They tried to keep power as divided as possible because they didn't trust democracy. They understood from history that democracy is unstable. It is unsustainable. The people get corrupted and ignorant and led in directions that go directly against their own interests. It's really easy to do. That's what Trump mania is at its heart. Some Republicans, Republican leaders, elder statesmen, such as Mitt Romney, Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska, and Jeb Bush tried sounding alarms. A lot of us tried to talk you Trumplicans, talk you Trump supporters in off the ledge. You didn't want to listen. Such is it with cultists, the brainwashed, the Stockholm syndromized. And thus the world witnessed the GOP's chaotic Trumpvention in July and saw firsthand how RNC Chairman Reince Priebus, Weasel Priebus, shut down delegates who wanted a roll call vote to register their opposition against Trump. Valiant objectors who shouted at the top of their lungs on the floor of the convention, such as Senator Mike Lee of Utah, were silenced by the party machine. The party honchos insisted again and again that standing by Trump was the right thing to do. Even as late as July, McConnell was telling his fellow members that they would not suffer any repercussions from Trump's misdeeds. Oh, is that right? Soon to be, again, Mr. Minority Leader. I don't think we're going to lose a single Senate seat because of Donald Trump, he bragged to NBC News. Fire it up again.
Bullshit! 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 You're not still the reason to play. Bullshit! Let's go bullshit!
Yet Trump, if you are not a Pepe the Frog championing poll denier, is forecast to lose the election in a blowout, and down-ballot Republicans will most certainly become collateral damage. Yeah, Trump supporters wanted to take a wrecking ball to the Republican Party, and they succeeded. Trump will probably be off on his next grand con scheme by next year, but the grand old party will be left in the rubble that a lot of Republicans created. I mean, he saw the opportunity and he exploited it on Hillary Clinton's behalf. And if the next GOP autopsy has any credibility, it needs to contain political obituaries of Trump's most ardent defenders. People such as Jeff Sessions, senator from Alabama, Ben Carson, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, former New York Mayor Rudolph Rudy Giuliani, Newt Gingrich, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, and many, many others. Those who gave Trump credibility and used their influence to rationalize his obscene words and actions need to be named and shamed for what they did. Because the most dismaying thing about the election is not Trump himself. It's that so many Republicans endorsed his nightmarish campaign. Ever since Trump announced his candidacy 17 months ago, it's been like watching political body snatchers. Miss Carpenter is borrowing from Jonah Goldberg with that analogy. Take over the party, replacing previously respectable men and women with dead-eyed zombies who readily salute Mr. Trump. Sieg Heil. And nearly all succumbed, including, shockingly, Ted Cruz, who courageously stood before the Trumpvention and urged delegates to vote their conscience while he declined to support Trump. Apparently, the pressure became too much to bear. 2 months later, he reversed course and was phone banking for the Trump cuckpants ticket. But not me. Not ever. I vividly remember the day Cruz dropped out of the presidential race, essentially handing the nomination to Trump. Ms. Carpenter writes, on the set of CNN, Amanda Carpenter threw up her hands and said, if this is how the GOP intends to campaign for the White House, they will do it without me. I will not vote for Trump. I'll remain a committed conservative and will vote for down-ballot Republicans, but the top of the ticket will, well, in my case, it's not going to be blank. There is a write-in line on my ballot, and by God, I'm writing in Evan McMullen, ladies and gentlemen, candidate who is going to carry Utah's 6 electoral votes. Because, and I've said it many times, and I'll say it again, I did not leave the GOP. The GOP left me for Trump. Now, Ms. Carpenter doesn't purport to speak for all women, and God knows I don't. But she knows and I know that we're not alone. Amanda Carpenter is one of the many women the Republican Party left behind in this election. And the GOP is about to learn, if they're capable of it, a hard lesson when it comes to the women's vote. Defend them or lose them. But don't take Amanda Carpenter's word for it. Don't take my word for it. There will be a new political map coming out on November 9th that will tell the GOP, if they're ever interested, everything that they need to know.